Democrats are very clever because what they do is they manipulate Republican racism against blacks to the benefit of the Democratic Party. So, for example, let's take the George Floyd police bill. Still hasn't been passed.
It hasn't. No.
When the Democrats had a majority in Congress, it still didn't get passed.
Nope.
When the Democrats were in charge, it still didn't get passed. You know why? They didn't want the George Floyd bill any more than the Republicans. But what they did was they do what? They wait until the Republicans have a majority, then they bring it up for a vote. Okay. So now when it doesn't pass, the Republicans kept the George Floyd bill.
So they at fault, yeah.
But what about when you was in the majority?
Right.
Why didn't it come to the floor when you had a chance to pass it? Because you didn't want it either. So what the Democrats do is they stifle anything that benefits black people while they're in charge. And they wait till the Republicans come out, and then they enter it when they know it's not going to pass. That's how they control us. We are literally under a two-party dictatorship. Black people suffer from the illusion of inclusion. And that's what keeps us loyal to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Get off of both of them.
All right, you kids get to bed. I get the storybook.
Dr. Umar Johnson starts a race war, Doomsday Part 2. Chapter 1. A recap of Dr. Umar's vision from Part 1. King Umar Johnson, the charismatic and determined leader of the only all-black city in the Western Hemisphere, had long dreamed of a sanctuary for African Americans where they could live free from systemic racism and oppression. His vision culminated in the creation of the city of Obsidian, a self-sufficient black metropolis designed to be a beacon of excellence and independence. Obsidian was more than just a city. It was a symbol of hope and resilience. Nestled on fertile land spanning 2 states, the city was built with sustainable technology, cutting-edge infrastructure, and a commitment to social equity. Schools, hospitals, and businesses thrived, all powered by renewable energy and governed by a council elected by the residents. King Johnson's message resonated with many African Americans who were tired of the racial injustices that plagued their lives. Slowly but steadily, families moved to Obsidian, leaving behind the United States and the systemic barriers they faced. Chapter 2. The Exodus. The exodus of African Americans to Obsidian had profound effects on American society. Entire neighborhoods and cities across the country emptied, and the loss of black professionals, athletes, entertainers, and scholars left a noticeable void in the good old racist USA. Major sports leagues struggled to fill the gaps left by the departure of their star black players.
Scooter, why did all the blackies leave the NBA? I want to go to a Lakers game, honey.
Well, what in hell do you want me to do about it, Imogene? All the damn N-words done up and moved out their N-word town. Who wants to see a bunch of white boys playing basketball together, huh?
The entertainment industry, once brimming with black talent, found itself lacking the vibrancy and creativity that had driven its success. As the city of Obsidian grew, so did its reputation as a utopia for African Americans. The world watched with a mix of awe and skepticism. Some praised the city as a bold experiment in self-determination, while others saw it as a separatist movement that could incite further division. Chapter 3. The Tipping Point. America wants its niggers back. Frustration simmered among white Americans who saw the exodus as an affront to their national identity. The absence of black athletes and entertainers became a focal point of resentment. Sports stadiums and concert arenas that once buzzed with energy now stood eerily silent. The economy took a hit as industries reliant on black talent struggled to adapt. This growing frustration found a voice in radical groups that began to blame Obsidian and its residents for the nation's woes. The rhetoric of division and hatred spread like wildfire, fueled by media outlets that thrived on sensationalism. The United States, already grappling with political and social unrest, edged closer to a breaking point. Chapter 4. The Siege Begins. Tensions reached a boiling point when a charismatic but volatile figure emerged as the leader of a new movement aimed at reclaiming America's lost glory. Promising to restore the nation's greatness, he rallied his followers with fiery speeches and a promise to take back what he believed was rightfully theirs. The stage was set for conflict. Under the pretext of national security, militias began to mobilize, targeting the city of Obsidian. King Umar Johnson, aware of the growing threat, had prepared for this moment. He had assembled an army of former U.S. military personnel who were fiercely loyal to the cause. They knew the strategies and tactics of the U.S. armed forces inside and out, because every single one of them were high-ranking officials before departing for Obsidian and were ready to defend their new home. Chapter 5. The Race War. The assault on Obsidian was swift and brutal. Racist militia groups, heavily armed and driven by a mix of anger and desperation, launched a coordinated attack on the city's western perimeter in the state of Arizona. The initial wave was met with fierce resistance from Obsidian's army, aptly named the Neo-Black Panther Force. Its generals utilized their intimate knowledge of military tactics to repel the mostly redneck invaders. The battle raged for days, with the intruders suffering heavy casualties. The residents of Obsidian, united by their shared vision and determination, fought with a tenacity that took their adversaries by surprise, sort of like the Ukrainians did to the Russians in 2022. Their resolve, coupled with their strategic advantage, began to turn the tide. Chapter 6. The Turning Point. As the conflict dragged on, it became clear that the militias had underestimated the strength and resolve of Obsidian's Black Panther army. King Umar, ever the strategist, had anticipated the need for alliances and had secured support from sympathetic groups, both within and outside the United States. Supplies and reinforcements began to flow into Obsidian, bolstering their defenses and morale. Meanwhile, the militias, stretched thin and facing mounting losses, struggled to maintain their momentum. The turning point came when a major offensive by the militias was decisively repelled, leaving them in disarray. All of the AR-15 toting hillbillies tucked their unwashed tails and ran. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. The defeat of the militias marked a significant moment in American history. The Battle of Obsidian had not only defended the city, but also exposed the deep-seated divisions within the United States. The conflict had left scars on both sides, but it also sparked a renewed conversation about race, equality, and the future of the nation. In the aftermath, efforts to rebuild and reconcile began. The city of Obsidian emerged stronger, its residents more united than ever. Chapter 7. The Briefing. FBI Special Agent Vlad Feldman from YouTube's Vlad TV and his partner, Agent Charleston White, sat across from the FBI director in his dimly lit office. The air was thick with tension as the director laid out their mission. A new version of COINTELPRO is being established, and their target is King Umar and his all-black city, Obsidian. Obsidian poses a threat to national unity, the director said. Your mission is to infiltrate, destabilize, and bring it down. A lot of people don't know it, but the FBI launched a secretive initiative called COINTELPRO back in the 1950s to counter the actions of rising black leaders like Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King Jr., eventually unaliving both of those black leaders before they could do what Umar did decades later. Chapter 8. We got infiltrated. Like Nino at the Carter. Agent Charleston White, with his charismatic demeanor, applied for a position within King Umar's inner circle. Over time, he worked his way up, proving his loyalty and dedication to the black cause. Eventually, he became King Umar's number 2 man, trusted and respected. Agent White began subtly gathering intelligence. He noted the city's defenses, the power structure, and the key players. Meanwhile, Agent Vlad coordinated with his FBI higher-ups, planning their next moves and ensuring they stayed ahead of any suspicions. The CIA provided Agent White with a special drug, designed to make a man desire a white woman. They knew King Umar's strong stance against interracial relationships was a cornerstone of his ideology.
I want the Supreme Court to reconsider their decision in Loving versus Virginia. I want it overturned. I want it to be illegal again for black men to marry Snow Bunny. Because the Snow Bunny crisis is destroying the black community. The Snow Bunny crisis is destroying the black community. For my brothers, give me a fist. For my queens, give me a heart. Who will sign the petition to overturn? Who will sign the petition to overturn?
The plan was to use this drug to undermine his credibility, which would cause the beginning of a rift amongst Obsidian's all-black citizenries. One evening, as King Umar prepared for a late-night strategy session, Agent White served him tea laced with the CIA-produced drug. Unaware of the betrayal, Umar drank deeply, discussing plans for Obsidian's future. Within hours, the drug took effect. King Umar felt an overwhelming, uncharacteristic desire. Confused and distressed, he decided to leave Obsidian for a few days, hoping a change of scenery would help. He chose Las Vegas, a city known for its distractions. Chapter 3. The Vegas Trap. In Las Vegas, the FBI set up an elaborate trap. They arranged for a white prostitute to seduce King Umar as he arrived at the airport, and luring him to a hotel room for kinky fun, ensuring the entire encounter was recorded. Umar, under the drug's influence, which lasted for 96 hours, succumbed to temptation, unaware of the hidden cameras capturing every moment. After the deed was complete, the FBI leaked the footage online, causing an uproar in Obsidian. King Umar, the man who preached against interracial relationships, was caught in a scandal with a white woman. The citizens of Obsidian felt betrayed and disillusioned, many contemplating leaving Obsidian and returning to a regular American city. Chapter 4. The Seeds of Discord. Dissent spread like wildfire through Obsidian. Factions formed, accusing each other of betrayal and hypocrisy. Trust eroded, and the once unified city began to fracture. Shootings and fights broke out in the streets as anger and frustration boiled over. Long-standing grievances surfaced, and the city's leadership struggled to maintain order. Agent White, still in Umar's inner circle, fed the chaos, ensuring it spiraled out of control. Chapter 5. The Feds are fed up. With Obsidian in turmoil, the FBI moved in. They conducted raids, planting fake evidence of a plot to overthrow the U.S. government in various homes. Panic and fear gripped the city as citizens were arrested and detained without cause. The U.S. military, under the guise of restoring order, invaded Obsidian. Tanks rolled through the streets, and soldiers enforced a strict curfew. The city, once a symbol of black unity and independence, was now under martial law. Chapter 6. The Fall of King Umar. King Umar was arrested and charged with espionage. In a highly publicized trial, he was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. The charges were based on the fake evidence planted by the FBI, but the damage was done. Obsidian was shut down, its residents dispersed back to cities across the United States, as its buildings and homes were demolished. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. Special Agent Vlad and Agent White received commendations for their successful mission, but the victory felt hollow. The destruction of Obsidian left a scar on the nation, a reminder of the lengths to which the government would go to maintain control. Years later, Agent White looked back on the mission with a sense of regret. He had played a key role in dismantling a dream, a vision of a better future for African Americans. The cost of that mission weighed heavily on his conscience. Despite the fall of Obsidian, the spirit of its people lived on. Across the country, new movements and communities arose, inspired by King Umar's vision. They learned from the past, adapting and evolving, continuing the struggle for equality and justice. King Umar didn't give up. As he sat serving his 20-year sentence, he made new plans to relaunch Obsidian, but this time he would do so in the motherland of Africa, where the grimy U.S. government couldn't easily shut it down. Stay tuned and be on the lookout for the return of the Black City.